I work at a daycare center in South Austin, which serves 120 children and their families. And since we're talking about kids, because that seems to be a big thing here, I told them I was going to be at city council meeting tonight. They never come. They're curious what was going on. So I asked them, I said, what would you do if your mayor and your city council were to pollute Barton Springs so that you guys could never go swimming there again? We take them there a lot. They said that they would fire y'all. I told them they couldn't do that, all right? I told them they couldn't do that. I said, what if the people that did this to Barton Springs couldn't be fired? They said, well, we would like to make them swim in a sewer. These are children that said this. They're against Barton Springs, the people that want this. If you're free from the influence of developers and lobbyists, this is your chance to prove it.
Hello, my name is Susan Walker, and for over 20 years, my husband, Jerry Jeff, and I have enjoyed the waters of Barton Springs. Nowhere is there the equal of Barton Creek, the Edwards Aquifer, or Barton Springs. Not only are the springs the spiritual heart of the city, they also represent an enormous source of fresh water, a source which has become increasingly polluted with each successive development on the creek and over the aquifer. Jerry, Jeff, and I urge you to deny this PUD application. Strike a blow for Barton Springs, and you will have met your civic duty in the most profound and long-lasting manner imaginable.
Perhaps all of you have this memo. It's dated June 6, 1990. It's signed by Austin LeBrock. The 750 milligrams per liter for total dissolved solids in the spring and small tributary, this is below the golf course, is a value that would be expected if effluent is partially the source of water. What we've been trying to tell you is this PUD isn't going to pollute Barton Creek. It's already polluting Barton Creek.
I don't get down here very often.
Well, we're glad to have you tonight.
Thank you. I actually told my family I'd be home at 7, so I mean, I don't know. I've been living in Austin for 5 years, and I'm probably one of the only people in this room who hasn't swum in Barton Springs. But I can appreciate what people enjoy about it, and I can appreciate the fact that it's open to everyone in the community, that it's the life source for this community. This is our water supply we're talking about.
Before the malls and Mopac, and now the Mopac access roads and all the offices and apartment complexes, the scale was tilted in favor of nature, like up here in the springs. Now, I don't know, and I doubt that anyone really knows, at what point this scale is going to tilt in favor of disaster.
For the last 6 or 7 years, I've been lucky enough to go to a town on the Atlantic coast of North Florida, which is a famous golf resort, about twice a year to work on various projects. And each year I see more and more development, more and more golf courses around this town, and I've spent a lot of time with the developers down there. And I would ask them, what are you guys going to do when you screw up your water? And they would always say the same sort of thing we were hearing here this afternoon. Don't worry, it can't happen. We're monitoring this. Well, I just got back from spending a month down there, and let me tell you what it was like this time. This time when I walked in, I turned on the faucet, and the water smells like rotten eggs when it comes out of the faucet. This silver cross that I wear around my neck, a month of taking showers in the water down there turned it dark brown, so brown that silver polish wouldn't dent it.
The City Council should muster the courage to say no loudly to this PUD. Remember that as Jim Bob comes barreling through the line, he is running into a tough defense assembled here today. You know, I'm just a little old country lawyer. I don't have any developer clients or anything, but I just went through this little old agreement and picked out a few things that you might be concerned about. They furnish their own personnel for monitoring the water quality and design and install the equipment themselves, and no planning commission or environmental review of changes that might occur in the future. How could you council members be expected to know what is in that contract if you're given it after 1 hour after your council convenes? But I want to close with this little reflection from my old friend John Henry Falk. He'd be here tonight if it weren't for the fact that he's gone. But he isn't gone in spirit, folks. Listen to what he had to say. My greatest disappointment is that we weren't able to summon enough civic responsibility to hold back the onslaught of the developers. Amen, John Henry.
You must assure us that it stays protected. I'm not a student of geology, but I do know that we live on limestone, and from what I read, it's a sieve. All the wet ponds and the protected areas in the world cannot assure us that some of these pollutants will not find their way into the springs.
I'm an aerospace engineer, and I've been in Austin for 6 years. I was going to use an emotional plea tonight to tell you how much I love Barton Springs, but there's a lot more people here with liberal arts backgrounds that I think can do it better than I can.
Spoken like a true engineer.
As an engineer, I can tell you that from experience, engineers can never be 100% sure of what they're doing. Just look at the space shuttle. An environmental board member stated earlier how complex the non-point source water problem pollution is. There's no way the developers, engineers, and analysts and geologists can ensure zero degradation of this water source.
If you want to pollute this aquifer, then you better be prepared to pay money for it. You know, that's the way I hope that the city council looks at it. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get angry about this, but I am. And,
I wanted to say that the development around Barton's Creek will not only mess up the environment for the people who live around it, but it will also be another problem for the kids when we grow up to take care of.
The developers say they can protect the creek. Don't believe them. Any fool can build a golf course, but reproducing Barton Springs is a little tricky. When it's gone, so is the best part of Austin.
Mr. Moffitt/Potter was quoted in the paper this last Monday as saying, if the council kills that project, you can forget about Austin having a major real estate developer come in and do it right. That was kind of humorous, I thought. I mean, heaven forbid.
And I think that we've seen examples of what the city can do, and particularly what the mayor can do when he puts his mind to a project. Witness the convention center. Barton Springs is the equivalent of a sacred shrine in this city. And if we don't preserve it, you aren't going to have a lot to attract people to that convention center. My name is Michelle O'Reilly. I'm here this evening to represent the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce and to urge you all that we do love Barton Creek. But we urge reason and balance in considering this important matter. Barton Creek is tremendously important in marketing the city of Austin. It's an important symbol to the city of Austin. The Chamber does not want our creek harmed. It's a valuable asset. It's a community symbol. But we do support this project and urge its approval.